Welcome to the Kristi Jones Show, your go-to space for thriving in business and life. I'm Kristi, and after decades in the multifamily housing industry, a business owner, and now speaker and coach, I help ambitious professionals step into bold leadership, ditch the self-doubt, and have more of what they want, more success and more fulfillment. If you're ready to flourish and thrive, you are in the right place, my friend. Well, hey, my friend, welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the Kristi Jones Show, where it is all about thriving in business, in life. And I've got a really good one for you today. And I'm going to take you a little bit inside my world because we're going to talk about transitions in life. Those moments when you have to lead yourself through transitional times. So let's get into it. So this summer, I have been walking through a transition, and it's a transition that I saw coming. And yes, it was something that I willingly have stepped into, my husband and I, but it's a transition nonetheless. And when you're in the middle of that, or you're getting close to the end, and something like when it gets really real, man, I mean, it brought everything to the surface. And I thought, this is exactly what I want to share with my audience right now, because you too are going through a transition, or you're soon to go through a transition. And this could be exactly what you need so that you can show up as your best self and lead yourself through a transitional time. So I find myself standing in our home that we've had in Norman, Oklahoma for decades. And I'm looking around at all the memories. Each room holds memories. We have been there for so long. The life that we built, and realizing at that same time, that day, what hit me is that it's time to let go. It's time to let go. It's time to move on. And it made me stop and ask myself a very important question. Why am I hesitating? And what is it? What am I waiting to feel ready for? Because if I'm honest, I'm just going to say that there really wasn't this magical moment when I suddenly felt completely ready to step forward into this transition of us listing and putting this home on the market and changing our lifestyle in a way that we've been living in a certain area for a very long time. And so suddenly I felt completely not sure. What is this magical moment that I'm supposed to be waiting for, where I'm really going to feel completely ready to make that decision? And maybe you've been there too. Maybe your transition that you're stepping in right now, or that you're getting ready to step into, looks a lot different than mine. Maybe it's that you're becoming an empty nester. Maybe you're changing careers. Maybe you're going into a field in an area that you've always wanted to do, but now that you're here and you have the opportunity to go land the job, it feels very unsettling. Maybe you're wanting to start a business. Maybe you're in a transition and you're leaving a relationship. Maybe it's something that's really positive. You're stepping into a new position. You're taking on a new role. Maybe you're stepping into a leadership position. That feels really good, but it's a definite transitional time. Maybe you're about to take a risk that you've never done before. Whatever it is, whatever that is for you, I want to share something with you of what I have realized, that readiness isn't a feeling. It is a decision. So today, I want to invite you in, and I want to talk about what it looks like to lead yourself well when you're living in that uncomfortable space between what was and what will be. So like I mentioned, I've been in the house for, let's go back to 1999. That is when we moved into this house that I speak of in Norman, Oklahoma. We built this house together. Just a little backstory. Steve and I got married in 98. We lived in a 3-bedroom apartment with our 3 kids. And as you know, if you followed along, or you have, been following other podcast episodes or heard the story before. When we got married, we were both single parents. And, Steve always is like, do you remember we had a negative net worth? And we definitely remember that. So living in the apartment, making a plan, getting a lot, building a house, although it's not the house of what it looks like today. It's been through like three different renovations over the 27 years. So having a negative net worth, stepping into owning a home together, doing this together, and building our life together. That's where we really like took that leap of faith. I still remember going to the closing for that when we finished the house, when the construction was done. And I remember just thinking, oh my gosh, it just, it seemed like a lot at the time. And it was exciting, but it was a transitional time. And so now, all these years later, here we are. We have remodeled the house. It's gone through three different, its own transitions over the years. But in 2015, we actually moved out of that house and went back and lived in an apartment, put everything in storage, most everything in storage. And we did a major, like, tear it down to the studs type of renovation and added on and all the things, and really created that into the finalized version of what, for us, what was our dream home. And we back up to the lake, and we love living on water, and the pool, and just this whole space that just felt so right for us. So we have put so much into this place that we had called home and raised our family and had so many memories. And so in 2016, we had moved back in, and part of that also played into why we did that and why we didn't just sell it then and get maybe a home that was already newer or larger or what we were wanting at the time, is because we talked and we made the decision. And fortunately, like, it's really easy for us to be on the same page with this type of stuff. So it wasn't a hard decision. But I remember going to Steve and saying, you know what if this is back in 2015, instead of selling this house, what if we keep it? We do all the things that, we've been talking about doing, and just turn it into our dream home. And then instead of, we didn't have the debt on the house, we've always wanted to have a second location back where he and I are from in Southern California. And because we always vacationed there, and just have it and do that and go between the two locations. And of course, we were still doing a lot of business in Oklahoma. So we had to be in Oklahoma the majority of the time. So we actually did that in 2015 and 2016. That's when we, got a second location in Southern California. And I have to say that, even that was a transitional time, but it was a dream of ours, and we followed through and took the action that we needed to take. So now here we are at a different time of our life. We never intended on leaving or selling that home because we had created exactly what we had always wanted there. But things shift in life and dreams change, and it's good to have new dreams. It really, for me, the way I described it, and Steve and I both explain things a little differently. It's a little bit of female brain, male brain, the way we communicate. But the way I describe it is that when you have this inner feeling when something, a time in your life or a season of your life, when it's coming to a close, and there's something else, there's something new that you're supposed to be doing or creating or experiencing. And I really, really felt that. He felt that as well. But at first it was real fuzzy. We didn't exactly know. So anyways, we earlier this year, we decided that we would be selling the house and we would be moving forward, and that we didn't have like an exact timeline. And that's where that feeling of readiness, where that, you're waiting for that. Like we've been talking about it for about a year. We've been, hashing it around. But I personally was waiting on that feeling like, okay, when I feel ready, when I feel ready. And at the beginning of this year, we made a decision. We made a decision, and we made a decision that we were going to move to Florida, and that Florida was going to be, we would sell the Oklahoma home and we would relocate to Florida. And then we would, bounce between Florida and our place in Southern California. So it's not a feeling. Readiness is not a feeling. What it is we made the decision. We made a decision. I didn't wait. Me personally, I didn't wait for that feeling of being ready. So I want to talk about this transitional time. So that's where I'm at. I'm about to head back to Oklahoma and go do the final pack up. We are approaching the closing date, and we are, the movers are coming, and the pack up is going to happen, and the items are some things will ship east and some things will ship west. And the day is here. It is fast approaching. And the realization that a chapter is coming to a close. But one thing I have always believed, and I've actually know, because this is what's played out in my life over and over and over, is that there are many chapters in our life. And when one chapter closes, the next chapter begins. And it's just a continuation of the story of your life. I've never wanted to, I always knew that I would hit this day where I would not be staying in, we would not be staying in that home forever, although I didn't really think about it a lot. But I knew that there would be that day of transition, because I am the type of person, and my husband is as well, to where we are always evolving, always. We both have minds that are very forward thinking and not backward thinking. We look forward, and we look at what, what is next, that next chapter. And we get really excited about it. I'm so fortunate that we have like-mindedness in that area together. So here we are. I'm about to go do the final pack up and decide what goes east, what goes west, and step into this transitional time. We have a place in Florida, but it's not our permanent place yet. So we are still searching for that final home, that final landing spot. And so, all of that's going on at the same time. And so a lot of moving parts, One of the main points I want to make in today's episode, talking about how to lead yourself well through transitional times, is this important fact right here, is that transitions expose what we really believe. Transitions expose what we believe. And it doesn't expose, this is the funny thing, it doesn't expose what you believe about the event, what you believe about the actual transition that's at hand. It exposes what we know about ourselves. And that's why it feels so uncomfortable. It exposes our fears. It exposes our identity, the identity that we are relating to, the one that we're choosing to hang on to. Transitions, they expose our confidence or lack thereof. You think you normally feel really confident, then all of a sudden it exposes that the confidence feels a little shaky. It exposes, this is a big one. I wrote this one down because I was like, this one is huge for people. It exposes our attachment to certainty. Humans want certainty, comfort, what we can count on. And I think what I have found and what I have learned in life is that what has felt the best is being okay with uncertainty, being comfortable and acknowledging that there is so much uncertainty in life that I don't fear it anymore. It doesn't rock my boat like it used to. So in transitional times, it exposes our attachment, or what level of attachment maybe that you have to certainty, of that guarantee, of wanting to know what's next, of wanting to know what's going to play out, of wanting, you don't want to deal with a lot of uncertainty. But when you can become best friends with uncertainty, your life will feel so much better. It will take that tension away. I'm going to put a book in the show notes, and I can't think of the title right now. It just popped into my head. Um, it's by I'm. It's not a real thick read either, so I know that it's going to be an easy one for you to pick up. I can't think. I don't want to misstate the title, but it is all about uncertainty. I'm going to put it in the show notes. If you're like, okay, what the heck is she talking about? What book? What is she suggesting? It's going to be in the show notes. Okay, so just scroll down, and I'll put a link to it. It is so good. It is so good. It's one that I go back to every once in a while. It's that good. It exposes our willingness to trust ourselves. Transitional times expose our willingness to trust ourselves, which sometimes can be easier said than done. If you have a track record of showing up for yourself, doing what you say you're going to do, having self-worth, liking, not doubting yourself a lot, you tend to trust yourself. But in transitional times, man, that exposes kind of where you sit. Transitional times in life, the other way I like to describe it, it's like a mirror. It is exactly like a mirror. It's like what it's reflecting back to you. And sometimes you like it, and sometimes you don't. And the reason you don't is because you're getting exposed on some things that you thought, I didn't have that fear, or I didn't think I was that attached to my identity. And, for the house, let me tell you some things that in my personal example of sharing this transitional time, let me share with you some things that have been said to me, or that I hear from people or friends, or just, random conversations. I can't believe you guys are letting go of that house. Chrissy, I can't believe that you're going to leave, because they know I put my heart and soul into working with a professional, someone that really knows, that kept me on the straight and narrow, but with a designer and an architect that I created like the master suite of that I could just dream up, with the steam shower and the chromotherapy and the tub and the sound therapy that piped through the tub system. I didn't even know that was a thing. Okay, when I got started, I didn't even know it was a thing. But once I learned about it, I was like, oh heck yes, I want that. The closet, the workout room, the coffee bar, like all the things of when we created our I would say, like, our bedroom, bathroom, the master suite area. I mean, I didn't leave anything unturned at all. And so it literally is a dream to wake up in and go to bed in. And but we've only been there because of we go back and forth to our place in Carlsbad. I mean, had been there off and on, and then we had family move to Florida. So then we were spending more time in Florida. And so I found myself less and less waking up in that master suite, because we were traveling a lot, and we just entered into this whole new season of our life, where we had the time when we took 3.5 weeks and went to Europe and the Mediterranean, and we got to go explore. So in the last few years, I mean, I haven't been resting my head on that bed a whole lot and enjoying all those things that we had built. And that would be in the last remodel too. So keep that in mind. When we first started out, that is not how we built the house at all. We were on such a tight budget. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. Anyways, so people say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're selling that. I can't believe it." And and people that have been to our home and they know how much we put into it. And the oasis in the backyard, we entertain a lot. We've had weddings at our house. We've had so many events at our home, and it is truly a home that has blessed us. It has had a heartbeat that has been so amazing. But I believe that it is time for someone else to step into that amazing environment that hopefully we have created just a very healing environment there in that home. And it's ready for that next person, that next family. We stepped into so many big dreams over the years living in that home. And my hope is that it continues to bless whomever lives there equally as much or more. It is truly a piece of paradise. Watching the sunset over the lake, all the things in the house, the coffee maker of my dreams that we had built into the kitchen. But all of those things can be recreated because, I just really believe that. But people will say, like, they're shocked that we're stepping away from that house. I've learned that what I've learned, and again, transitions are mirrors. So when sometimes someone's talking about like how that transition would make them feel, they're like, I couldn't walk away from that. There's no way I would. The identity that sometimes that we as people allow to take hold of us because of something in our life, this being the example is the house. That is not your identity. But these transitional times, it can expose that. So just remember that transitions are mirrors. And so now, because now that I probably stirred all this up and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I am stepping into a transition, or I'm in one now, or I'm fearful of different things that I'm going to have to go through when life changes or my job changes. I want to give you a framework. I want to give you three easy things so that you can lead yourself well through a transition. So the first thing is I want you to notice. Write down the word notice. Notice. Most people, they just rush through a transition. They're like, let's just get through it. Okay, there's change coming up. There's a big transition coming up. Let's just rush through it. Instead, I want you to pause. I want you to notice. And these are things that I did. I did when it came to this big transition of our life. But I want you to pause and I want you to notice what is actually happening for you internally. So ask yourself, and this is step number 1 on notice. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? And then you can go one layer deeper if you want. And you can stay, instead of saying, well, I'm not ready for this transition. I want you to ask yourself, well, what does not ready? What does that mean? What does that actually mean? Maybe when you say you're not ready, if that's what's coming up, maybe it means that I'm afraid I'll fail at what's next. I'm afraid people are going to judge me if I do this transition. I'm afraid that I'll make the wrong decision. Maybe when you say you're not ready, what you actually mean is, I'm afraid I'll regret it. Sometimes I'm not ready is just fear wearing a fancy little outfit. The second thing I want you to do, second step. So first is notice. Okay. The second one is decide. This is where people get stuck, is right here. They're waiting. They're going to wait. They're going to wait it out. They're going to wait for the confidence to show up. They are waiting for certainty. I want to be 100% certain. Remember when I talked about certainty in life? And the sooner you can get comfortable with uncertainty, your life will have a much better feeling and rhythm to it. You won't have the tight grip on everything of having to be certain. So they're waiting. They're waiting for confidence. They're waiting for the certainty. They're waiting for permission. Maybe they're just waiting to feel peace about it. But I will tell you that confidence, when you're going to decide, that confidence usually follows commitment. It doesn't come before it. It doesn't precede it. You know, when we think about this right here, as far as making a decision, if you think about throughout your life, and I'm going to use examples of my own life. I didn't feel ready when I started my first business. There were times that I had to step into a leadership position and I did not feel ready. When I went through my divorce, didn't feel ready for that. Definitely didn't feel ready for that. When I started this podcast, which I'm in year 4, I definitely did not feel ready for that. I did not know how to, all the moving parts of a podcast. I did not feel ready. I almost talked myself out of that and delaying that, but I didn't, because I decided. When I've stepped into rooms to speak, stepped onto a stage to speak to a room full of people, you don't always feel ready. And even when it comes to the story I'm telling today about this transitional time and us, putting our home of decades on the market and selling it, and the closing dates coming up, when we signed the listing agreement, I didn't feel 100% ready, but we decided on that. It was a group decision. But when you've got something, some of the other examples, you've got to make that decision. But for the house, Steve and I, we just decided to pull the trigger and go. So for myself, some of the biggest blessings in my life have come after I made the decisions, long before I actually felt ready. Ready, you cannot wait on ready. The third part of the framework that I want you, so you're going to write these 3 things down. This is all you need to know to get started when you're going through a transitional time. The third one is act. One small action, act. So you've noticed that. Let's recap. First is notice. So you pause, notice, you figure out what's making you feel like you're not ready. It's all that fear, all the things that I listed. Okay. Then it's the second part of the decision. That's where people get hung up. They get hung up because they're too scared to make a decision. All the things come into play. So then they just don't make a decision, which is worse. Make a decision. You're so worried if you make the right decision or the wrong decision. The thing is if you make a decision, I've done this before, made a decision and I didn't get the outcome I wanted. Well, guess what? You can decide again. Okay. You got to try something sometimes before you know if did that work or did it not? At least you're getting information. The worst thing is to just stay in limbo, not make a decision. I can't tell you how many times in the workplace this plays out. You just sit around, and every time you delay making a decision, it's costing more money, it's getting more painful, and it's a harder problem to solve. Make a decision, see if you hope you get the outcome you're shooting for, okay? And if you don't, then you course correct. You make a different decision. But you can't just sit around and hope it just resolves. So then the third thing is act. And that's one small action. Not 10, not 15, 1. A lot of times people won't act because then they make a mountain out of a molehill. They're like, well, I got to come up with 10 things that I'd have to do. No, pick one small action. That's how you build momentum. Momentum is built through movement. Momentum is not built through talking about it. That just pacifies the ego, makes you feel a little better, makes you feel like you're getting something done, but you're not getting crap done. Think about the people that are just always running their mouth or talking about it, but they ain't getting crap done. It's the doers. It's the people that actually go and do. They build the momentum. And that goes back to you act, and let's say you're not getting the outcome, but you're building momentum. You can make a different decision. You can steer the ship in a different direction. But if you never take action, then you're just floating around. You're just in limbo. That's the worst feeling in the world. So momentum is built through movement. Some examples, some quick examples. You know, and again, this is when today we're talking about like going through transitional time. So make the phone call. Maybe you need to make the phone call. Make one phone call. Make one phone call. Well, I don't have time to make phone calls. Do you have time to make one phone call? You probably have time to make one phone call. Send the email. How many times I hear people like waiting? I have done this. I have just messed around, not sent the email. And then I'm like, why am I waiting? Send the email. What is the problem? What is the problem? So such an easy win. Maybe you need to send the email. Maybe you need to hire a coach. Maybe you need a coach. You need someone to help move you along, to help get you going in the right direction. Coaches are amazing at showing us our blind spots. Good coaches show us and expose the things that we can't see ourselves. So maybe you need a coach. Maybe you need to finally go apply for that job that you've been wanting to apply for, that you want to step into, that position that you want to ask at the company that you're at. But maybe you need to apply for it. Sign up. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation. Maybe you're like me. You need to put your house on the market instead of talking about it and going, well, I think, yeah, we want to go to Florida, and we'll be bi-coastal. We'll be East Coast and West Coast. But we had to put some action behind that. We had to get the house on the market. Maybe it's like here in the online space and you're trying to do a business or get a message out, do something in the online space, and you hate doing videos, you hate talking on camera. You need to record the first video. You need to record the first video and get on with it. Action creates evidence. Evidence helps build your confidence. And when you step into your confidence, it helps create how you see yourself. It helps you create your identity. So when you take the action and you're building the evidence and you're stepping into the confidence, you're creating a positive identity. You're seeing yourself in a positive light. So let me take you through, okay, bear with me for just a sec. So if we were inside the flourishing edge right now, we would pause and we would just do a quick little exercise. So I'm going to take you through that really quick. It's just a couple minutes just to show you, like, you can do this. This is just a quick little reflection exercise. So I just want you to pause for just a hot second. I want you to take a slow breath. Breathe in and let it out. And I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. Just 3 questions. That's all you got to do. Question 1, where in my life am I waiting to feel ready? Where in my life am I waiting to feel ready? Text it to yourself. Write it down on your notepad. Question 2, what is the fear that's underneath that? And I don't want you to just, don't give yourself this, you're doing this for you. So don't give yourself the surface answer. I want you to give yourself the real answer. And question 3, what's one decision that I can make today? Not next month, today. What's one action I can take in the next 24 hours that supports that decision? So what's the one decision that you can make today? And then what is one action that you can do in the next 24 hours that supports that decision? Text those things to yourself, write them down, put it on your calendar, because that's how you get it done. Leaders, high achievers, they don't wait for certainty. They create momentum. This is how you are going to create momentum for yourself, even in times of transition. So, my friend, here's what I know. Life is always going to have seasons of transition. There's always going to be another decision for you and I to make. There's always going to be another unknown. There's another opportunity that asks you to trust yourself before you feel totally prepared. But I want you to remember that the goal is not to feel ready. The goal is for you to become that kind of person who can make bold decisions, even when things feel uncertain. I know that feels a little uneasy. But think of this, every decision you make is shaping the person that you are becoming. Every single decision. So today, don't wait for the confidence. Don't wait for the certainty. Do not wait for perfect timing. It does not exist. I want you to choose. Take one step. Trust that the clarity, that is going to come after you make the move. And remember, always remember that your next level is definitely not waiting on permission. All it's waiting on is for you to make the decision. Remember that your life and my life, it isn't making the perfect decision. It's not about that. It's becoming the kind of person who trusts themselves enough simply to make one. And that's what I desire for you. Lead yourself well during seasons of transition. I know this framework that I've given you is the launching pad that you need to do exactly that. Don't forget to scroll down for that book resource that I couldn't remember the title of it when I was talking to you. I will be sure and have them put it in the show notes. And it's all about how to just have a better relationship with uncertainty in life. So until next time, my friend, go flourish, go thrive, and I will see you here next time on the podcast. Take care. Friend, thanks for tuning into the podcast today. Take a moment and share this episode with that one or two people that you thought of as you were listening to today's episode. And I would love your quick review. It would mean the world to me for you to drop a review here on the podcast. And don't forget to follow and like the show so you never miss a beat on how to thrive in business and life.